Welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we are taking a look at a motocross game called International Moto X that was released during 1996 for the PlayStation. I remember my first experience with this game. We had actually gotten the PlayStation on Christmas of 1997, myself and my brothers. We knew we had a couple of games, but we went to Dublin a couple of days after Christmas and we had a bit of money to spend, and my brother Stephen ended up buying Resident Evil Director's Cut. So he wanted to get that one. Now I didn't really know what kind of games I wanted to get. I just wanted to get a few games, but I wanted to get a couple of games that were actually going relatively cheap because I didn't have an awful lot of money. So went into the game store that was in Dublin, in Grafton Street, there at the time, and I remember coming across this here. It was a part of like bargain bin at the time, and I actually bought this, and I bought Blood Omen Legacy of Kain. I've actually done a previous video on that game as well, so I'll leave a link in the description so you can check it out. I just wanted to get a mix of different types of games. I wanted to get like one type of kind of action based game, but I also wanted to get like a racing type game. But there wasn't too many racing games in the shop at that time that actually that were within the budget that I actually had. This was really the only one that I could afford. But I also wanted to try it like a motocross, kind of like a bike game, because I always did kind of like bike kind of racers. I always remember like Road Rash and stuff like that. I always loved that. So I ended up getting this here. It looked okay from the cover, like, so at the time I thought it looked good, but I was kind of like, right, I'll give it a go and see how I get on. And again, I was just going through that experimental phase, because that was the thing I loved about the PlayStation, was the fact is that you just enjoyed the games that you actually had, regardless of how good, bad, how difficult or how easy they were. Every game was worth having a go, in my opinion, back in those days. Now I remember when I did actually get this and I actually eventually got to play it, it was difficult, I will admit, to get used to it. Starting off, the bikes can be very, very slow to get to grips with, because the tracks that you're on, because there's so many bumps, and when you go off the track it slows you down. It takes a while to get used to the mechanics of the handling of the bike, because when you turn, the camera kind of turns with you, and it's hard to kind of know where you're actually going to end up, and you've no grip on the tyres of the bike as well. So now you can upgrade the bikes, and you can like say fix them as well, because you sustain damage through each of the races. So when you do upgrade, it does overall better the quality of the bike throughout the races. So when you do get a good run going, if you can get a good flat surface, you can actually go fairly quick on the bikes. The bikes will speed up, and you can actually gain a good lead if you can keep the bike on the track for long enough. And it took me a good while to figure out what to do, but when I got the hang of it, I did start to master it. But it does present a good challenge, this game. Now graphically, it hasn't held up as well, I must admit, like say compared to say more modern games and even other games that were released of this style on the PlayStation. It wouldn't be as good as some of the other games on the platform, but I enjoyed it. I did get the hang of it, and you keep playing it, and it was a good kind of multiplayer aspect. One of the best features, or probably the best feature in the game as well, and myself and my mates and stuff like that and my brothers would actually enjoy, because you can create your own championships, but you can also create your own tracks. It has its own multifunctional track editor, so you can pretty much create the tracks pretty much using any kind of elements that are in the game. And that was a really cool feature. You could adjust the height of like surfaces, or make like dips, or even mountain kind of style environments, and you can make it as difficult or as easy as you wanted to make it, basically. And so we used to have a lot of fun actually with that. We'd actually try to create our own kind of like crazy absurd tracks, and then we let our mates try to play them and see if they could actually beat them, or even try to get like a lap time around them as well. So that was actually a good laugh. That I actually enjoyed that. That was definitely the best feature of the game. But I did enjoy it, and I played through like the different kind of campaigns. You have different campaigns for different classes, starting off with the low powered classes, and then you work your way up. It's very similar to a lot of other racing style games in the day as well. And this would have been one of the earlier games too, where you actually had upgrade features where you would earn money for races, and you'd use that then to either buy new parts for your bike, or to upgrade it, or to repair your bike if it took too much damage. Because you would know if you took too much damage during races, and if you tried to go into another race without fixing the bike, you could definitely see the difference in the terms of the handling and the speed of the bike. The bike would not be able to actually, you wouldn't be able to get the most out of it. It'd be very slow and sluggish, and the handling would be affected as well. So you usually had to keep racing and save up your money so that you could actually keep repairing your bike, and then when you did have enough money, then you could actually start upgrading it to its maximum levels. That way then you could make your races easier. So there was a lot of grindy kind of aspects to it as well. But again, the tracks now are fairly short in the main game. The tracks are very narrow as well, and there isn't much of say draw distance as well. Sometimes you don't really see where the corner is actually going to take you until you're nearly actually on top of it. So sometimes that could actually throw you off as well. You couldn't see where you were actually going until the last minute. So you'd actually have to play it a few times to understand and learn the layout of each track. But again, once you got the hang of it, it was okay. It was a little bit fiddly, and compared to other bike games and racing games that I've played on the PlayStation, it was good. It was okay. It was okay. I did enjoy it, but it definitely wouldn't have been as good as some other games. But it was a worthwhile experience, and also, and again, because with the games being fairly cheap on the PlayStation as well at that time, if you could get bargains, there was some decent enough games that were worth experiencing and checking out. Now I know this definitely wasn't as refined or as polished as some other games back in the day, but for me I actually did enjoy it. Now it's definitely not the best racing game I've played by any means, that's definitely sure. But it was a decent game to play for a little while, and again you could have fun with it, building tracks and just having a bit of a laugh. So it was worth having a look into. So if you're into your bike games, and even if you are into exploring these type of games on the PlayStation, I would recommend just at least giving it a try and see what you think for yourself. It may not be for you, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I think that it is worth a try. And for me, that is my goal, like I say in all my videos on this channel as well, is the chance to literally revisit all these old games and have a bit more fun with them, and even try and figure out and see new games that I never got to play back in the day as well, because I definitely think that they're worth exploring for sure, because the PlayStation for me is my favourite console, and there is a lot of really unique games. Even the ones that aren't so good, they still hold a lasting impression, because they all offer something unique. There is always something in every game that's very different from anything else you'll see. And the one thing I love about the whole 32-bit era, especially with the PlayStation, was the fact that there was so much experimentation with different game styles and genres, and this here game was no different in that sense. Even though it may not be as good or as polished as other games, but you could see what was happening. You could see that there was things being tried, even if it wasn't executed as well. But they all offered something unique. There was always something there that was a little bit different from every other game that you played. So pretty much every game that you did play had something unique to offer in that sense, and it was worthwhile having a look into, in my opinion. So if you're into these games, I would definitely at least even just give it a try and see what you think yourself. So what are your experiences of International Moto X? Did you actually happen to own it or play it back in the day? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? Did you enjoy it, or do you like these type of games, and how did you find it? Make sure to let me know down in the comments, as I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this game. So if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, also subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to be updated whenever I release another video, as I will be revisiting a lot of these older games that I played back in my younger days, and even exploring other games I never got to play over the years, and share my experiences with all you lot. So as always, make sure to keep playing and enjoying those classic games, and make sure to keep those gaming memories alive.